Let's go straight to business with Darryl Kwa. Hello, Darryl.
Hi, Israel. A very important development in relation to the collapse of some banks we would want to report in a few minutes. First, though, the Ghana Revenue Authority has resorted to the use of special breed of dogs to block the flow of illicit cash and smuggled goods. The move by the authority is expected to reduce the flow of undeclared goods at all entry ports here in the country. Here's Ebenezer Sabote's report.
Deployment of the dogs is to check the influx of smuggled goods and illicit financial flows into the country. With the support from the Embassy of Denmark, the specialized dogs are trained to detect currencies and products that are not accepted in the country. Team leader of the Customs Division working on the redesigned tax and development program is optimistic that this will help the country deal with the issue of under-declaring at the ports.
This is mainly done for revenues, okay? So we are looking for increasing revenues. We are looking for money that is not declared to customs, used for money laundering, okay? Used in order to make fake invoices, okay? And regarding narcotics, obviously, because the narcotics are an illicit commodity. For the explosives is the part of the security, but since we are working also at the port, it's important also that a dog is able to detect explosives.
According to the customs unit, travelers with more than $10,000 are being apprehended and reported to the Bank of Ghana. Edward Kumi is the second in command for the K9 unit of the Customs Division.
What we are doing is agency duty. It's NACOP who is in charge of currency. Narcotic substance. So if we made a search of any narcotic substance, we hand them over to Narcotics Control Board for them to deal with them. Currency, we give it to our AC, then who then take over, then he report to the Bank of Ghana.
So do you have the Bank of Ghana people here or the NACOS people here collaborating with you, or you may have to go back to the other office?
We have NACOS people here. Some are seated there, and are down to the NACOS people that they are around.
The move will also improve Ghana's security situation at the various ports. Ebenezer Sabote's report for Joy Business.
Now, the Institute of Chartered Accountants has fined 4 firms over the roles they played in the collapse of 7 banks. They have been fined a total of 2.2 million cedis. Joining me in studio with more on this is Joy Business Assistant Editor George Yafe. So there's a statement to that effect, George. What exactly did these firms not do right?
Well, it has to do with some actions that they took that actually impacted on these firms in terms of their financial accounts. Now, don't forget that these are supposed to be external parties that they come to give an opinion on your accounts. And if you go through the statement issued by the Institute of Chartered Accountants, Ghana, they try to give a breakdown on first, even the background. You remember last year, there were concerns about what these firms did in terms of whether actions or inactions might have contributed to the collapse of these banks. So they set up a disciplinary committee to actually look into these things, and they actually finished their work in April this year. And the committee made some recommendations. So those reports were sent to the Council of the Institute of Chartered Accountants, Ghana, to review these recommendations. And it looks like they accepted a lot of them. There were about 5 accounting firms. You can talk about Ernst & Young, you can talk about Deloitte, you can talk about Morrison and Associates, you can talk about PKF. And for Ernst & Young, it appears that they were exonerated because they tried to at the last exercise certain decisions that ensured that they wouldn't be sanctioned. If you came to Morrison Associates, they were fined. I mean, if you look at Deloitte, I mean, as much as 1.5 million Ghana cedis, because it looks like they had issues with their judgment on some of the accounts of the firms that they worked on. And that is why they thought that they should sanction them. You can talk about Morrison and Associates as well. They work on some of the commercial banks. They are sanctioning them. You can talk about PKF Accounts and Associates. They've sanctioned them. And if you go through the thing, if you go down, they give fine details about the exact amount, the background of these issues and all the rest. So if you look at, for instance, one of them, it was a fact-finding mission. They actually gave details on their firms, the amount of money, and all those things. And they believe that doing these things, and let's look at EY. I mean, they maintain that the firm complied with all the relevant provisions of the international standards when it comes to accounting. So they exonerated them. Let's look at PKF Chartered Accountants. If you go through, they are raising serious questions about their judgment on the firm that they worked. That has to do with Capital Bank. Remember, Capital Bank went down. So PKF, they are saying that based on the fact that they failed to exercise So then international standard judgment on these things, they were asking them to pay X amount of 550,000 Ghana cedis, Darrell, with respect to the audit of Capital Bank's financial statement ended December 2015. You look at the J. Mills, Lamte and Co. Also, the absence of appropriate alternative tests. They are raising questions about their judgment on their work, and because of that, they believe that they should pay this fine. And you could see in recent time, this might be one of the highest fines we've seen in the financial sector.
And why this is also remarkable is the fact that some of these banks presented very good books, so you kind of wonder what kind of auditing went on. But it's not just about the fines, George, but about the credibility of these auditing firms.
And they try if you go through the statement again, they are talking about the fact that it's about trying to maintain the high professional standards of the industry. If you go through our laws, we give the right to the Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana to regulate the accounting profession when it comes to licenses and regulations or regulating all the players in the industry. So if you want to play in this space, it has to do with the Institute of Chartered Accountants, and therefore, if you don't pay this fine, I don't know how come these firms can operate in this financial industry.
And these fines, do they bring a finality to the matter, or we should expect some more sanctions?
I think it's work in progress, Darrell, because don't forget the Bank of Ghana, we understand that the cleanup is ongoing, and we still hear some issues coming up. So as and when it happens, they will set up a committee to go through your workings, and they'll give the necessary actions or sanctions against you.
All right. And so what are you picking up from your sources? Because we know that in the background, there were some discussions going on. Are these firms going to appeal the sanctions?
They are trying to, and as we speak right now, there's a crunch meeting going on right now. So, but it looks like having gone to the highest body of the industry, or that accountancy profession, that is Institute of Chartered Accountants, and having engaged these firms, I doubt whether they will review their action. The payment of these monies, Darrell, it's like finding a bank 1 million Ghana cedis or 10 million Ghana cedis. I think that they may be worried about the perception and the fact that they exercise wrong judgment. And don't forget, some of these firms are working on international firms in this country, and there'll be serious repercussions if you lose a client. If a firm doesn't want to work with you, that is more serious than being even asked to pay 10 million Ghana cedis.
All right, George Yafe, thanks for your perspective and insight to this matter. Let's hear next from Chartered Accountant Dr. Daniel Sedo, who has justified the sanctions against some of these accounting firms. There were fears that the action could affect confidence in the accounting profession and verdicts of accounting firms, but Dr. Sedo disagrees.
We are not saying that it's because of the audit report that's why the banks collapsed. No, that is not it. The council is only sending a certain signal that yes, we are looking after our members, ensuring that they are doing a good job. If you're being sanctioned for not doing a good job, the next person who is doing his job will also sit up to ensure that, look, he's doing a good job, that he won't go through sanction. That is what it is.
That even the plan to sanction, some would say that, well, DOC as a regulator or DOC as supervisor is getting too hard on me, George Yafe.
Well, it's within people's right to say whatever they feel. That is okay. And equally, it's within the rights of the institute to ensure that its members are conforming according to standards. As simple as that. The thing is about standards. If the institute has a basis for sanctioning people, so be it. If there's no basis, the people have the right to contest.
These accounting firms, these auditing firms do not operate in a vacuum. What about the fact that the role of these regulators in this space also, some will say that maybe they didn't help, and therefore we shouldn't hang George Yafe and partners, an accounting firm that worked on one of these cola banks?
No, we need to explain this whole thing properly. There's a regulator for the financial institutions, or there are regulators for them. We need to understand that these regulators also do not regulate the auditors. The auditors are regulated by the Institute of Chartered Accountants. Well, we need to avoid a situation where the regulators of the financial institutions try to meddle in the work of the auditors.
Financial consultant Dr. Dan Sedo ending the business segment. There's more news after this break. Do stay tuned.